I'm gonna kill you, but I still want to do you kind of thing. First of all, who hurt you? No, I'm just joking. But it was like, oh, like, you got him, girl. You got him. She knew what she was doing. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm doing a buddy collab recommendation video. My friend Becky over at Bex Reads, she has asked a couple of us booktubers to recommend some different fae fantasy romance. So I have a couple that I want to share with you guys, but I also have some on my TBR that I'm really looking forward to, and you might actually see them in a vlog coming up pretty soon. But I wanted to talk about a couple that I've read maybe this year, so a little bit more recent. And I think mine are primarily going to be more of the popular fae fantasy romance that have probably been circulating around like Book Talk, Bookstagram, BookTube, like that kind of sphere. I will say the caveat here is that none of these books are by Sarah J. Maas or by Jennifer L. Armentrout. No shade to these authors. Actually, in fact, I'm going to a Polycon in 2025, so clearly I have no shade towards JLA and any of the other big popular fantasy romance authors. But we really wanted to showcase some fae fantasy romance authors that you may not necessarily gravitate towards or have heard about because they aren't the bigger names. With that being said, I do still have some bigger names in my little stack here. So I'm going to start with probably my favorite book so far this year, When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. So this is book 1 in the Moonfall series, and this follows Rave. She is an assassin for a rebellion group. Her job basically is to like never get caught and follow through with orders. But Rave actually ends up getting caught by this rival bounty hunter, and she's imprisoned by the Guild of Nobles. Now this is a group of very powerful fae that want to use her essentially as like a political statement. Then we have the male main character. His name is Khan Vagor. He has lost his like great love, his what he thought was like his one true love, and he's on a quest to essentially dull his aching heart. He's trying to fill the void. In order to do that, he's kind of like almost like being reckless. He ends up going and killing the king. Now this one also has dragons, as you can see on the cover. Beautiful cover. I will warn you, it is a thickie. She a thickie. I did read this relatively recently, and I would probably consider this like a solid 5 stars. So if you're really looking for something that's kind of like fantastical, magical, like this is a really great experience. It's probably a little bit more similar to a mashup of JLA and SJM, so like you kind of get the best of both worlds. I know some people don't like this book because the writing is very, in my opinion, kind of like lyrical, very flowy, and some people don't like that, but I actually really love that in books. So this one's very fast paced. I will actually say I did read this in a day. So yeah, we're talking like almost 700 pages in a day. Next book I'm going to talk about is one that I like recently read like last month, I think. Fell in love with it. Cannot wait to read the rest of the series. But we have A Court This Cruel and Lovely by Stasia Stark. So this one I actually gave 4.5 stars, rounded up, but there were just so many things in this that got me. One of my favorite quotes from this book is from the main male character. His name is Lorian. He said, "Wicked women are my weakness." Right? Yeah. The whole book is essentially a slow burn, but that last 10%, girl, I don't know what you put in this book, but it was like crack. In this book, we have Priska. She has these dreams about this guy that has blazing green eyes and a cruel smile. When humans are born, they have all of their powers taken away by the gods, but there's some that are like resilient, or something happens where they get to keep their powers. So anyone who has like leftover powers, they're kind of like these forbidden creatures, which you later find out are fae. But basically what happens is Priska ends up getting kind of cast out from her world because of some stuff that goes down in the beginning. She's discovered she has to flee very quickly in order to like live and survive. So she's out in the world, and she comes across this like band of mercenaries who end up like just leaving her for dead. She gets kind of in a huff about it, and one of them actually ends up being the guy that she dreams about. So basically she ends up later kind of finding this mercenary dude again, which you find out his name's Lorian. All of the mercenaries are pretty cool. Like, I liked all the characters in this book. But basically, she makes a deal to sneak back into the city. And in return, she wants to learn how to wield her powers, which you'll find out her powers are actually very important for getting into the city and then helping the people in the city escape, who are these like people who still have their powers. But this book, highly recommended. I will definitely be continuing on with the series. Next up, we have Zodiac Academy. So currently, I have only read the first and the second books. I do have a read along that I'm doing throughout the rest of 2024 and into 2025. So we're just reading one book a month, and I think as we progress in the series, the books actually get bigger. So I do have the third book for July. I don't know when just yet. We're doing sprints, but so far we have read the first two. It's not too late to join if you can kind of catch up. But this does follow, so far what I know is that it follows two girls. They're twins. We have Tori and Darcy, and they are attending this academy, the Zodiac Academy. And they're essentially, in the first couple of books, they're like fighting, well, the first book especially, they're like fighting for their lives. They are apparently the like rightful heirs to this throne, but we have these four, I think there's four guys who, they're different creatures. They're all kinds of different like fantastical creatures in this world. So we have like a dragon shifter, we have some fae, we have pretty sure like some werewolf, I don't know, we have all kinds of different things. They believe that like they're the rightful heir, and so they're it's labeled as a bully romance. So if you do like kind of that bully aspect to a relationship, first of all, who hurt you? No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. This is kind of like what that series is about. Very much like, I'm gonna kill you, but I still want to do you kind of thing. Yeah, then the second book is essentially following these celestial heirs as they're trying to figure out their powers and, you know, who they are, because they don't really know who they are either. So I'm very excited to continue on in this series with the third book, which is The Reckoning. Then we have Miss Lauren Roberts. So we have Powerless. And this one is between Peyton and Kai. Now this book is very similar in my opinion to The Hunger Games. I didn't hate it, okay? I did give it 3 stars initially, but I would totally reread it again because I did like the book. I liked the spin on this book. It's actually probably more like a 3.5 now that I think about it. So we have Peyton, who is like a thief, and then Kai is a prince. We have ordinaries and we have elites. So elites are people who have powers. And if you're born ordinary, you're essentially like banished out of the kingdom and you're shunned from society. Peyton is an ordinary that we know of, and she goes and she poses as a psychic so that she can blend in with the elite. So like saying her power is being able to predict things and see things. Well, she ends up saving one of Azur's like princes, who's Kai. Because of this, she's kind of like the candidate essentially to go into the trials to see if she can be part of his like group, I guess, his like, not bodyguards, but something like that. And she has to go through these like trials, kind of like the Hunger Games. They're called the Purging Trials, and it's this very brutal competition where the elites are showcasing all of their different talents and things. She goes through these trials and you kind of like start noticing some similarities. Like I think she uses a bow. She comes from this very poor area, kind of like the slums of her kingdom, the kingdom or whatever, the trial. So very like Hunger Games-esque, but like I said, there is obviously a spin to this book. So I'm going to reread this, and I hear that there is maybe a good way to tandem read with Powerful, and then the new book Reckless just came out. So this will be a great time. I finished this book probably yesterday evening, I believe. How does it feel? This is by Janine O'Reilly. I'm somewhere between like a 4.5, 4.75 with this book. I really liked this book. So a lot of people describe this as like academic. It is. It does kind of have that aspect. We have Callie. She's like trying to collect these very rare mushrooms that she's using for like her research and stuff like that. Then while she's out searching, she ends up falling into a portal and lands directly on top of this unseelie fae prince. His name is Prince Mendax, and he thinks, he like will not let it go that she is this person who's sent to kill him. He is someone who like totally hates humans, will not even touch them with his bare hands. They're just the scum of this realm, this world. But he is also this very like, I think this is more like a bully romance as well. Fated mates, I'm pretty sure. Like it doesn't specifically like lay it out like that, but I'm pretty sure it's like fated mates. And he ends up being like madly in love with her, cannot let her go. There's this whole thing with names in this book. So like you're not supposed to tell your name, your real true name, but she gives him her name, and there is like a plot twist at the end that I didn't see coming, but it was like, oh, like you got him, girl. You got him. He is still very mean to her throughout the whole book, at least what we know of it. Maybe he's putting on a front, I'm not really sure. The ending kind of leaves you like not necessarily on a cliffhanger, but really sets you up for the second book, which is out. This one also has trials to it as well. In order to leave, like get her freedom, Callie engages in these 3 deadly trials. So the academic piece that comes in, like one of the trials, I'll give you an example, is there's these like this room of snakes, and there's these like venomous concoctions, and then there's some antidotes laid out, and she goes around and she's like smelling them. She's like, oh, this smells like such and such herb or such and such plant or whatever, and she happens to be a biologist. So she is like going through and using her knowledge of plants and biology and stuff like that to figure out like which is the antidote and which is the venomous concoction. But yeah, she's also like deathly afraid of snakes, so that's a thing too. So I'm very, very excited to continue on with the next book in the series. You know, this, I just give it a 5-star. I really like this one. I think a lot of people give this book a lot of crap because they think Callie is really stupid, which she may seem like that, but let me tell you, girl, she is not stupid. She knew what she was doing. I'm gonna end with a book that I'm looking forward to reading really soon. I'm actually going to be vlogging my experience with this book because on July 25th, I have an author interview with the lovely Tiffany Roberts. So Tiffany Roberts is actually a husband and wife duo. We have Tiffany and Robert. They go by Tiffany Roberts. So the book that has Faye in it, we actually have the guy who is Faye, is Yearning for Her. Very much looking forward to this. I was immediately gravitated towards this because I saw a plus size main female character with purple hair, and I was like, hello. So this one, I'm gonna read you the little synopsis on the back just because I don't know too much about it, but you'll also have like a full extensive reading blog of me doing this. It is a wicked incubus, a curvy, delectable human female, one night of passion that changes everything. Willow Crowley's world comes crashing down when she discovers her boyfriend has been seeing another woman. The dream she'd held of a life with him is shattered in an instant, leaving her alone with nothing except heartache. She vows to never open herself to that hurt again. Until a seductive, otherworldly stranger with white hair, piercings, and icy blue eyes promises her a single night of pleasure. No strings attached. But that night isn't enough for him. He wants more than she's ready to give. How can she trust him not to break her heart when he isn't even human? Keon has lived promiscuously for 400 years, feeding on the desire of the humans he and the Fae considered prey. But when he locks eyes with a purple-haired female, something inside him shifts irrevocably. No one else can sate his hunger. He wants her, needs her, yearns for her. Yet she refuses to submit to the carnal delights he promises. She wants more. She wants love. Can he mend her broken heart? And can he love a mortal woman? I'm going to read this book, and I know it's going to be fantasy and romance, and there's fae. So here's your recommendation. I just want to say thanks for watching today's video, and again, thank you to Becky for allowing me to be part of this collab, and don't forget to go check out the other booktubers that were part of this collab. I will link everybody down below. We all, I think, have some very fantastic fae fantasy romance recommendations, and we all probably have very different tastes, so I'm very excited to see what everybody else picks. And let me know if any of these books are on your TBR, or if you've read them, what you thought about them. Maybe even let me know if there's a fae fantasy romance that you think I should read next. If you've gotten to the end of this video and you have nothing else to add, how about you leave me a mushroom, because mushrooms in How Does It Feel, and this is probably my, actually this might have been my favorite book of the ones that I have read and recommend. So Anyways, thanks again, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.